9 Richest Hollywood starts from the Golden Age who built unbelievable empires. The Golden Age of Hollywood was a time when some of the most iconic names in cinema not only dazzled us with their performances, but also amassed fortunes that were truly mind-blowing. Today, we'll take a look at the lives of the richest actors from that golden era, individuals whose wealth and legacies are as legendary as the films they starred in. Let's dive in. 1. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin, the man whose iconic mustache and signature, tramp, character became global symbols of silent film genius, is often remembered for his unparalleled influence on the film industry. But behind the charming figure on screen was a man who built an empire, both financially and creatively. Born into poverty in London, Chaplin rose to become not only one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood but also a savvy businessman who took control of his own projects. Chaplin's wealth began to surge during the 1920s, when he signed a contract with United Artists, a company he co-founded with Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, and D.W. Griffith. This move was revolutionary, allowing Chaplin to retain creative control and ownership of his films, something that was unheard of at the time. Chaplin's personal fortune skyrocketed thanks to the success of films like The Kid and Modern Times, which not only gained massive commercial success but also ensured royalties that would keep flowing for years to come. By the time of his death in 1977, Chaplin's wealth was estimated to be around $400 million when adjusted for inflation. Much of this fortune was tied to his own film productions, but he also enjoyed success in the realm of music and merchandising. He was ahead of his time, combining creativity and entrepreneurship in a way few could replicate. Chaplin's incredible rise from poverty to unparalleled wealth is a testament to his innovation, foresight, and unmatched artistic vision. Today, Charlie Chaplin remains one of the wealthiest stars from Hollywood's golden age, not just for his films, but for his business acumen that allowed him to remain an influential figure decades after his last performance. He was a true pioneer, changing the way stars interacted with the business of cinema and paving the way for future generations of actors and filmmakers to control their own destinies. Number 2. John Wayne. John Wayne is a name synonymous with rugged masculinity, the quintessential cowboy, and one of the most influential figures in Hollywood's golden age. Best known for his role in classic westerns like Stagecoach, 1939, and True Grit, 1969, Wayne carved out a persona that made him the ultimate American icon. But beyond his on-screen success, Wayne's fortune was built on a combination of savvy investments, entrepreneurial ventures, and an ironclad work ethic that made him one of the wealthiest men in Hollywood at the time. Wayne's rise to wealth didn't happen overnight. His career began in the 1920s, and although he struggled to land significant roles early on, he eventually became one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood by the 1940s. His breakout role in Stagecoach launched him into stardom, and by the 1950s, he had become a box-office draw in films like The Searchers and Rio Bravo. But it wasn't just his acting that earned Wayne his fortune, it was his involvement in Hollywood's business side. Wayne was a savvy businessman, investing in real estate, owning several properties, and even having a stake in the production of his own films. He was also a major shareholder in the production company Batjack Productions, which he founded in 1952. This ownership allowed him to receive a larger share of the profits from his films, giving him control over his career and income. When John Wayne passed away in 1979, his estate was valued at around $60 million. That figure would be significantly higher today when adjusted for inflation. Beyond his financial success, Wayne's legacy lives on in his films, his role as an ambassador of American culture, and his brand, which is still used for everything from merchandise to his own whiskey line. John Wayne remains a shining example of how an actor can build a legacy not only through performances but also through intelligent business decisions and investments. Number 3. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was not just an actress, she was a living legend whose wealth and influence transcended Hollywood. Born in 1932, Taylor became a household name by the age of 12 after her breakout role in National Velvet, 1944. However, it was in her adult years, during the 1950s and 1960s, that she cemented her place as one of the richest and most iconic stars of the golden age of Hollywood. Taylor was known for her stunning beauty, extraordinary acting talent, and turbulent personal life, but what many don't know is that she was also one of the most business-savvy stars of her time. While her acting career earned her millions, it was her ventures outside of Hollywood that truly boosted her fortune. She was a successful entrepreneur, owning several real estate properties, including an extensive collection of fine art and jewelry. In fact, her collection of jewelry became so valuable that it was legendary in its own right, especially her famous 33-carat diamond, the Taylor Burton diamond, a gift from her husband Richard Burton. Taylor was also a trailblazer in terms of financial independence. In the early years of her career, she demanded a higher salary than any of her male counterparts, making her one of the highest-paid actresses in the world. By the time she passed away in 2011, Elizabeth Taylor had accumulated an estimated net worth of $600 million, a remarkable sum for a woman who had been active in Hollywood from a young age and faced many personal challenges throughout her life. Her legacy, however, wasn't just about money. It was also about her ability to transform herself into an iconic figure who played a role in redefining the public image of Hollywood stars. From her 7 marriages to her humanitarian efforts, including her work with AIDS awareness, Elizabeth Taylor remains one of the most powerful figures to have ever graced the Hollywood screen. Even in death, her estate continues to bring in millions. Number 4. James Stewart. James Stewart, often referred to as Jimmy, was one of Hollywood's most beloved and respected actors of the Golden Age. Known for his distinctive voice and everyman persona, Stewart's career spanned over 5 decades, during which he became a cultural icon. His most famous roles in classics like It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, and Rear Window, 1954, solidified his status as a leading man of both comedic and dramatic films. But what set Stewart apart from many of his contemporaries was not only his acting but his smart financial decisions that made him one of the wealthiest actors of his time. Stewart's story is one of perseverance, talent, and a bit of luck. He entered the film industry in the late 1930s and quickly became known for his relatable and down-to-earth charm. Throughout the 1940s and 1950s, he built a solid reputation as one of the most versatile actors in Hollywood, starring in everything from romantic comedies to suspense thrillers. However, Stewart didn't rely solely on his acting income. He was a financially intelligent businessman, known for making shrewd investments in real estate and other ventures outside of acting. One of the most important aspects of Stewart's wealth was his decision to own a stake in several of his films. By negotiating for a percentage of the profits rather than a flat salary, Stewart ensured that he would receive long-term residuals from his projects. This strategy paid off as his films, particularly those directed by Alfred Hitchcock, became box office hits. By the time Stewart passed away in 1997, his net worth had reached a remarkable $90 million. In addition to his film earnings, Stewart was a military veteran who served as a pilot in World War II. His patriotic reputation, combined with his humble and unpretentious personality, made him a fan favorite throughout his career. Even after his passing, his films continued to generate significant revenue. Number 5. Gary Cooper. Gary Cooper, known for his striking looks and quiet, dignified persona, became one of the highest paid and wealthiest actors in Hollywood during the Golden Age. Born in Montana in 1901, Cooper's career took off in the 1920s and 1930s, when he starred in films like Wings, 1927, and Sergeant York, 1941. However, it was his portrayal of strong, silent, and morally upright characters in westerns and war films that made him a legend in Hollywood. While Cooper's acting was second to none, his wealth came from a combination of strategic career decisions and savvy business investments. As his career skyrocketed in the 1940s and 1950s, Cooper began demanding a larger share of the profits from his films, opting for deals that allowed him a percentage of the box office earnings rather than just a fixed salary. This was an incredibly smart move that ensured he would receive residuals long after his films had left theaters. In addition, Cooper invested in real estate and purchased several properties throughout California, including a large estate in Santa Monica. By the time of his death in 1961, Gary Cooper's estate was estimated to be worth over $100 million. Adjusted for inflation, this figure is even more impressive today. His fortune was not only the result of his acting talent, but also his ability to leverage his fame and financial acumen in ways that allowed him to build a legacy beyond his film career. Gary Cooper's wealth, combined with his towering presence on screen, solidified his place as one of the most iconic actors of his era. Cooper's influence extended beyond Hollywood as well. His reputation as a patriotic, morally upstanding man earned him the respect of both his peers and the public. He was awarded an Academy Award for Best Actor in 1942 for his role in Sergeant York, and another in 1953 for High Noon. Even today, Gary Cooper's legacy lives on in the films he left behind, which continue to inspire and entertain audiences worldwide. Number 6. Clark Gable. Clark Gable, known as the King of Hollywood, remains one of the most iconic actors in cinema history. His role as Rhett Butler in the epic Gone with the Wind, 1939, solidified his place in Hollywood royalty, making him an instant global sensation. Gable's rugged good looks, charismatic personality, and unmatched charm on screen made him a favorite with audiences, and his ability to play both leading men and anti-heroes made him versatile and in demand. However, Gable's wealth didn't just come from his iconic roles, it also came from his business savvy and strategic decisions within the film industry. Like many other major stars of the Golden Age, Gable demanded a percentage of his film's profits rather than a set salary, which allowed him to share in the financial success of his movies. His role in Gone with the Wind alone was a career-defining moment, and his involvement in the film's massive box office earnings contributed significantly to his fortune. Additionally, Gable took advantage of lucrative endorsement deals and investments outside of Hollywood, including real estate. In 1949, Gable became the highest-paid actor in Hollywood, thanks to his unmatched star power. Over the course of his career, his wealth grew steadily, and by the time of his death in 1960, his estate was valued at around $50 million. Adjusted for inflation, Gable's wealth would be the equivalent of more than $450 million today. His financial success was the result of not only his iconic film roles but also his ability to make smart decisions about his career and business ventures. Clark Gable's impact on Hollywood cannot be overstated. Not only was he one of the highest-paid actors of his time, but his reputation as one of the most charismatic and versatile actors in film history has only grown in stature since his passing. Today, he remains one of the most enduring figures in cinematic history. Number 7. Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn, widely regarded as one of the greatest actresses in the history of cinema, was a trailblazer both on screen and off. Born in 1907, Hepburn became famous for her fierce independence, sharp wit, and defiance of traditional Hollywood stereotypes. Throughout her career, she broke conventions with her strong, independent roles, becoming an icon for women everywhere. But it wasn't just her acting talent that made her rich. It was her remarkable business acumen and an unyielding refusal to be confined by the norms of Hollywood. Hepburn's career began in the 1930s, and her first major success came with the film Morning Glory, 1933, which earned her an Academy Award. She became one of the most bankable stars of the 1940s and 1950s with films like The Philadelphia Story, 1940, and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967. However, Hepburn was unique in that she had complete control over her career decisions, often rejecting stereotypical roles that Hollywood offered her. She believed in choosing roles that spoke to her, which set her apart from other actresses of her time. Beyond acting, Hepburn made some incredibly smart financial moves. She had an innate ability to leverage her success and built an empire through real estate investments and wise money management. Her estate, which was filled with art, antiques, and real estate holdings, was valued at $100 million at the time of her death in 2003. A major part of her fortune came from the royalties of her film library, which continued to generate income long after her films were released. Katharine Hepburn's wealth was a reflection of her ability to combine artistic integrity with financial savvy. She proved that you didn't need to conform to industry expectations to be successful. Her legacy as an independent, wealthy, and respected actress endures, as does her influence on Hollywood and women in the entertainment industry. Number 8. Bette Davis. Bette Davis was the epitome of Hollywood glamour and grit, with a career spanning 5 decades that included some of the most celebrated performances in cinema history. Known for her intense, fearless acting style and her command over every role she played, Davis became one of the most powerful and highest-paid actresses in Hollywood. Yet what set her apart was her ability to fight for roles that defied conventional beauty standards and portray women in all their complexities. This helped her stand out in an industry known for its rigid ideals. Davis's career took off in the late 1930s with iconic roles in films like Jezebel, 1938, for which she won her first Academy Award. She soon became a box office draw, known for her deep emotional range and commitment to challenging roles. Throughout the 1940s and 1950s, Davis was one of Hollywood's highest-paid actresses, commanding impressive salaries for her films. Her net worth was primarily driven by her acting career, but she also capitalized on her fame with endorsement deals and other ventures that further padded her wealth. In the 1950s, Davis became one of the first actors to form her own production company, allowing her greater control over the films she starred in. She was not just an actress. She was a savvy businesswoman who understood the importance of owning her own content. By the time of her death in 1989, Davis's estate was valued at around $50 million, a considerable fortune for the time. Bette Davis's legacy goes far beyond her wealth, however. She paved the way for future generations of actresses who would follow in her footsteps, fighting for meaningful roles and recognition in an industry that often tried to limit them. Her resilience, fierce ambition, and unwavering talent made her a true Hollywood legend, not just for her incredible wealth but for the powerful impact she left on the film industry. Number 9. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart, often referred to as Bogey, is one of the most iconic figures in Hollywood history, known for his rugged charm, gravelly voice, and unforgettable roles in classics like Casablanca, 1942, and The Maltese Falcon, 1941. Bogart's persona on-screen was that of a hard-boiled detective or a conflicted anti-hero, but off-screen, He was also a sharp businessman who accumulated significant wealth over the course of his career. Bogart's rise to stardom came in the late 1930s and early 1940s when he was cast in a series of roles that showcased his tough guy persona. Despite initially being typecast in gangster roles, it was his breakthrough performance in Casablanca that solidified his place as one of Hollywood's leading men. The success of this film, combined with his roles in war classics, made him one of the highest-paid actors of the 1940s and 1950s. However, it wasn't just his acting that made him wealthy. Bogart was a shrewd businessman who knew how to maximize his earnings. He was one of the first actors to negotiate for a percentage of the profits from his films, ensuring long-term financial rewards long after the films were released. Additionally, Bogart was a co-founder of the production company, Bogart Productions, which allowed him to have more control over his projects and receive a greater share of the profits. By the time of his death in 1957, Humphrey Bogart's estate was valued at around $25 million, an impressive sum for the time. Adjusted for inflation, his fortune would be over $200 million today. His legacy as one of the most successful and wealthiest actors of his time endures, with his films continuing to captivate audiences and generate revenue. Bogart's story is a testament to how an actor, with the right blend of talent, savvy business decisions, and iconic roles, can build both a legendary career and an enduring fortune.